Hello YouTube! Today we're going to take a short look on an interesting little chronograph from the 1990s, the SCFJ005 with the unique 6M26 dancing hands chronograph movement. This is a watch that belongs to the SUS line, as you can see from the S character underneath the hands. The SUS line, came during the 1990s as a sports line of watches. Most enthusiasts will know it due to the fact that it was the line where it reintroduced the mechanical watch back into the Seiko lineup. And there were a number of other watches in that line, quartz watches, both kinetic and simpler quartz. And this one here is one of the chronograph movements, the 6M26 chronograph. This is a very unique watch in that it is a very compact design. It measures 38 millimeters across without the crown, 41 millimeters with the crown, 49 millimeters lag to lag. The height is 11 millimeters, while the lag width starts from 18 millimeters, tapers out to 20, and tapers back to 16 millimeters on the clasp. Now the watch has a very interesting and unique layout. Despite the fact that it's a chronograph movement, it's a movement that permits a very compact dial, mostly because all the functions, and there's a lot of them, are controlled through the crown and this series of concentric rings that you flip from one to another by turning the crown. The crown is not a screw-down crown, although the watch does offer a pretty significant 100-meter water resistance. Now, by turning the crown clockwise or counterclockwise, you are shifting through all the functions. So let's turn it counterclockwise, and you can see this red here sign move to the chrono function. The hands shift into reset, and then you can activate the chronograph with this button here, which will start a 100th of a second capable chronograph that measures it in pretty unique fashion. Now, as you can see, the minute hand measures the seconds, while the second hand measures hundredths of a second by going to and fro on this little gray area of the dial. So right now we have, about 19 seconds and 40 hundredths of a second. And you reset it. Everything flies back to zero. This is a dancing hands, chronograph. You can probably understand why you got that moniker. But let's switch to calendar view by shifting the crown again in counterclockwise fashion. And here we have all the hands moving to signify the month. It's now February the 16th, so all the hands have shifted to the second position. February isn't, marked on the dial, but most of the other months are. You can see May, April, July, August, October, November, etc. So this is the calendar function, and if we shift it once more counterclockwise, we'll shift to the timer function. The timer function measures backwards for up to 60 minutes. So you're setting the time you want to measure. So I set it to 3 minutes, and I'll just press a button so you have a measurement that I may want to stop here. So I'm in 2 minutes and 49 seconds on the timer, the countdown, or reset it back. There is also an alarm function which rings once every 12 hours, that you can also set in the usual function. And you can see the hands dancing back to the starting position depending on which mode you have. That's a pretty unique chronograph, very interesting design, high legibility, one of the most easy chronographs to read via hundredths of a second, and a pretty unique solution. The watch in itself is very well made. I was very surprised with the quality of the brassing and the polishing on this watch. As I said, it was from the 1998 Seiko catalog, and back then it retailed for 38,000 yen. That was a healthy sum of money. There was also a black dialed version, the 001, and a red dialed version, very interesting color choice there, which also had the 003 designation on this one. The prices, well, for this one, it was higher than the 4S15 automatic SUS. That one retailed back there for 30,000 yen. Of course, prices have skyrocketed for those. It's of special significance to the Seiko collector, and it's a mechanical watch. Those have gone back into favor. Back then, as I said, it was a reintroduction of the mechanical watch, so it was relatively cheap. Although, according to most, the 4S15 was pretty much better movement than what you get today with a 6R15. But going back to this watch, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by the quality. The case design, it's pretty unique. I would say it mimics the earlier Vader chronographs, but it's slightly more, it's less pronounced at protrusion that the Vader chronograph has from the 70s. You can call it the baby Vader, I guess. I guess you could. Polishing is pretty good. There are standard polishing here and the high polish line around here. The brassing is pretty good quality too. The bracelet is of surprisingly good quality. If you think how nasty Seiko bracelets tend to be nowadays, it's all brassed, very nicely, finely brassed, with a little, void between the links. Doesn't get too warm during the summer. Obviously, the watch is meant to be worn on the bracelet due to the case size. It's a unique design statement. I don't think it would be prudent to put a lever strap on it. But, individual tastes vary. Nice case back, concentric brassing here. Made in Japan. It was a JDM model. I'd say the quality is pretty good. It's pretty good, and it was rather expensive back then. The only thing that could have been of a better quality is the clasp. Would have preferred a stamp clasp versus a machine clasp versus this stamp clasp, but I guess it's okay. I was pretty fortunate to pick this one up completely New York stock, and it looks as if it was produced yesterday. quality is really that good on this watch. Anyway, something different. The design style is not for everybody, but it looks pretty cool. 90s sort of way. Although the watch really is of very good quality and it withstood the test of time really well. It looks as if, it could have been produced yesterday, I guess. Really looks really this good. Right, so this concludes this Dancing Hands chronograph review, the old SUS line. I've always been wanting to get one of those automatic SUS, but prices are really prohibitive right now. It's a pretty diminutive watch, really small on the wrist. I think it's 34 millimeters or something. So this one looks pretty decent on the wrist. I do a cutaway. You can see it on my wrist, which is on the large side of things. And it's a very legible chronograph, something the sub-dial chronographs really can't pull out at this mid-size category. Let's take a look at it on the wrist. And here it is on my wrist. My wrist is 18.5 centimeters wide and quite flat. So you would expect a mid-size chronograph to look relatively small, but this one pulls it off nicely. I guess because it's a wide-dialed chronograph and there's no bezel or anything. Also, the lag-to-lag is pretty large, so it pulls it out pretty well. The height is not really that big, so you can get it under a third, probably third cuff, maybe, I don't know. It looks like, business thick, I guess. Not really all that sporty, like the rest of the SU line. The SU line looks a little bit more on the military side of things. But this one is pretty sharp, I'd say. That's a good word for it. There is loom on the hands too, the hour hand and the minute hand. There's no loom on the indexes though. So, loom gets you only this far. Although the 3, 6, and 9 are really high polished, so you could probably get a glimpse of what time is it even in the night only with the loom on. It will probably reflect some light, even in a pretty dim lit environment. So this concludes this short presentation. This pretty interesting chronograph from 20 years ago. That was made in 1998. That's 20 years from ago. It looks like it was made yesterday, really. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos.